Imagine vast stone blocks standing on an open plain, like ancient sentinels guarding the secrets of past ages. Stonehenge, located in Wiltshire, England, is not only impressive in size, but also in its purpose. This megalithic complex consists of more than 100 stone blocks, each weighing up to 50 tons. Their source was quarries of limestone and granite, located up to 240 kilometers away. This indicates that the ancient builders were not only skilled craftsmen, but also remarkable logisticians. There are several theories about the purpose of Stonehenge. Some archaeologists believe it was an observatory, allowing the tracking of astronomical phenomena such as the winter and summer solstices. On the days of the solstices, the sun's rays penetrate between the stones, creating unique light effects that could serve as signals for ancient communities. Other researchers suggest a ritualistic purpose, proposing that Stonehenge was used as a site for ceremonies related to death and the afterlife. The discovery of cremations in the vicinity of the complex supports this theory. There are even theories that suggest Stonehenge was a place of healing, where people gathered, hoping for the magical power of the stones. When the wind passes between the massive boulders, it produces enchanting sounds, creating an atmosphere of mystery and tranquility. The coolness from the ancient stones can be compared to touching history, which seems tangible and close. Scientists like Professor Andrew Cole, who studies the astronomical aspects of Stonehenge, note that the arrangement of the stones precisely matches certain stars and solar cycles, confirming their possible use as an astronomical instrument. Archaeological excavations conducted in recent decades have shown that Stonehenge was not an isolated object. Other monuments, such as wooden post circles and burial mounds, were located around it, indicating a broader cult area. 80 years ago, in the 1930s, the first serious restoration of Stonehenge was carried out, which helped preserve this unique monument for future generations. Today, Stonehenge is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and attracts millions of tourists from around the world. Each year, many people gather around the stones on the days of the solstices to witness the sun's rays passing through the stone arches, creating an atmosphere of unity with the ancient past. Most of them are unaware that behind each stone lies a history full of mysteries and puzzles that continue to excite researchers' minds. For example, the famous archaeologist and writer Martin Bennett, in his book Stonehenge, the Enigma and the Reality, emphasizes that even after 1,000 years, this structure continues to spark debates and discussions about its true purpose. Studying Stonehenge means immersing oneself in a world where science and myth intertwine, creating a unique heritage that has become a symbol not only of ancient Britain, but of humanity as a whole. Do you know that in the Peruvian desert there are mysterious geoglyphs known as the Nazca lines, which are astonishing in their scale and precision? These drawings, created by ancient peoples, depict animals, plants, and geometric figures, some of which are up to 370 meters long. The Nazca lines are not merely random markings on the ground, but meticulously planned constructions that have endured for centuries thanks to the dry climate of the region. The geoglyphs were carved into the upper layer of the earth, exposing light-colored clay, which gives them a striking contrast against the desert sands. Scientists still debate the purpose of these enigmatic images. One theory suggests that they served as a calendar, allowing ancient people to track astronomical events. Another hypothesis proposes that the lines indicated the locations of water sources, which were crucial for survival in the arid climate. Some researchers believe that the geoglyphs were used for ritualistic purposes, as paths along which sacred processions might have passed, praying to the gods and making offerings. Traveling through this desolate yet captivating landscape, one feels the heat of the desert, hears the rustling of sand beneath one's feet, and understands how the simplicity of the surrounding nature contrasts with the sophistication of these ancient images. The Nazca lines are not just a work of art, but also a testament to an ancient culture that has left us with many questions and mysteries. The first mentions of the lines date back to the mid-20th century, when in the 1930s, American archaeologist Paul Kosok began systematic study of these geoglyphs. He and his colleagues noticed that many of them could only be seen from above, adding another layer of intrigue to their purpose. Located on a plain about 500 meters above sea level, the lines are visible only from the air. which has led to speculations that their creators possessed advanced knowledge of astronomy and geometry. Moreover, some geoglyphs exhibit precise proportions and symmetry, demonstrating a high level of skill and planning. Today, the Nazca lines are protected by UNESCO and attract thousands of tourists each year, eager to see these unique artifacts of ancient history. Having endured for centuries, they remain a significant testament to human ingenuity and the pursuit of greatness. It's hard to imagine, but the mystery of the construction of the Egyptian pyramids continues to spark debate among scientists and historians. The Pyramid of Khufu, standing at 146 meters tall and composed of more than 2 million stone blocks, each weighing up to 80 tons, was built with such precision that the gaps between the blocks do not exceed 1 millimeter. This extraordinary accuracy in fitting suggests a high level of skill among the ancient builders. The pyramid is perfectly aligned with the cardinal directions, as confirmed by modern research using laser technologies. Scientific studies, such as those by Professor Richard Hodge of the University of California, indicate possible methods used to move these giant blocks. One theory proposes the use of ramps, which could have allowed workers to lift heavy stones to the construction level. Other researchers, like archaeologist Mohammed Abdel Garba, suggest the use of a system of levers, which could have significantly reduced the effort needed to move the blocks. Additionally, there is a hypothesis that the blocks could have been transported by waterways, making their delivery to the construction sites easier. Imagine the scorching sun of the desert, mercilessly illuminating the labor of the workers, each one suffering from heat and sweat pouring down their foreheads, mingling with the smell of limestone that is everywhere. The sounds of stones grinding and rustling fill the air as thousands of people, united by a common goal, work in harmony, moving the heavy blocks. The shadows cast by the pyramids at sunset, like majestic monuments, testify to the colossal efforts expended on their construction. The complexity of these construction processes not only amazes, but also makes one ponder the extent of the ambitions of the ancient Egyptians. It seems they were not just building tombs for pharaohs, but creating symbols of eternity. These structures, which defy simple explanations, remain objects of study for archaeologists and historians worldwide. The construction of the pyramids lasted, according to different estimates, more than 20 years, and involved tens of thousands of workers, making it one of the most monumental projects in human history. In the jungles of Central America, there lie abandoned cities of the Maya civilization, left by their inhabitants during the 8th to 9th centuries of our era. During this time, magnificent cities such as Tikal and Palenque suddenly emptied, leaving behind only grand temples and expansive plazas, now home to wild nature. Researchers continue to actively debate the causes of this mysterious disappearance. One of the main theories suggests that a prolonged drought, lasting for several decades, played a decisive role. Scientists from the University of Florida, studying sedimentary deposits, found that during this period, the level of rainfall significantly decreased, leading to a shortage of water for agriculture. As a result, millions of Maya, who depended on corn and other crops, found themselves on the brink of starvation. Interestingly, archaeologists discovered signs of intensive farming, indicating that resources were depleted, and the situation became catastrophic. Another hypothesis points to internal wars and social unrest, when cities, previously focused on trade and culture, began to fight for control over resources, leading to the decline of political stability. In some places, researchers found traces of destructive conflicts, leaving behind not only besieged fortresses, but also grim signs of violence. Epidemics could also have played a role. Analysis of bones shows that many residents suffered from diseases that could spread rapidly among the population. In these abandoned cities, now silent, only the rustling of leaves enveloping the temples and the sounds of wild animals filling once bustling streets can be heard. Crumbling walls, covered in moss, preserve the secrets of the past, and the air is filled with a sense of mystery and desolation. Majestic pyramids, once witnesses to human activity, now stand silently, their stones filled with stories that remain untold. Research shows that by the end of the 9th century, many of these cities were abandoned, leaving behind only mysteries that continue to puzzle scientists. For example, in Tikal, more than 14,000 buildings were discovered, and by the time of its decline, the city's population had dwindled to a few hundred people, indicating the scale of the catastrophe. Scientific data shows that the Maya left their cities but did not disappear completely. Their descendants still live in modern Central America, preserving elements of their ancient traditions and culture. The legend of Atlantis continues to captivate researchers and dreamers, immersing them in a world of mysteries and enigmas. The story begins with the ancient Greek philosopher Plato, who in his dialogues Timaeus and Critias, written around 300 years before our era, described a utopian island state with immense power and advanced culture. Plato claimed that Atlantis was located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, now known as the Strait of Gibraltar, and was submerged in a catastrophe around 9,000 years before his time. This myth has served as the foundation for numerous searches and hypotheses regarding the location of Atlantis. One of the most popular versions places Atlantis in the Mediterranean Sea, with some researchers linking it to the island of Santorini, which experienced a devastating eruption around the 16th century BC. Other scholars point to the Atlantic Ocean, suggesting that Atlantis could be connected to the Bahamas or even a continent that once connected America and Europe and is now submerged. It is also worth mentioning the less common hypothesis about the location of Atlantis in the North Sea, where archaeologists have found underwater structures resembling ancient settlements. Some adventurers even propose that Atlantis could be located in Antarctica, beneath the ice, and that global warming may soon reveal its secrets. Each of these places is surrounded by an atmosphere of mystery. The sound of waves crashing against the shore, the salty smell of the sea, which carries the breath of history, and the sense of the vastness of the watery expanse, hiding ancient secrets. Versions of the location of Atlantis continue to multiply, and the searches, despite the lack of concrete evidence, do not cease. In the 17th century, the researcher Francis Bacon even suggested that Atlantis could have been not just a myth, but a real place that once existed. Each new discovery of underwater artifacts or traces of ancient civilizations adds fuel to the debate. For example, in 1999, underwater archaeologists discovered the remains of an ancient city near the Bahamas, which, according to some assumptions, could have been part of a submerged continent. While some researchers insist on the reality of Atlantis, others call for skepticism, arguing that it is merely a myth created by Plato's imagination to illustrate moral and philosophical ideas. The uncertainty of whether Atlantis actually existed continues to fuel interest in this topic, and each new approach to the search opens new horizons for discussion. Ultimately, the myth of Atlantis has become an integral part of culture, inspiring literature, film, and even scientific research. The splendor of the Great Sphinx of Giza, standing majestically on a plateau in Egypt, captivates and enchants with its mystery. This monumental stone guardian, measuring 73 meters in length and 20 meters in height, is carved from a single block of limestone, likely quarried in the vicinity of Giza itself. Scholars believe that the Sphinx was created during the reign of Pharaoh Khafre, around 2,500 years before our era, making it one of the oldest monuments in the world. There are numerous theories about its purpose. Some consider it a guardian of the necropolis, others see it as a manifestation of the solar deity, while some researchers suggest it served as an astronomical marker, pointing to the precise direction of the sunrise during the equinox. The mystery of the Great Sphinx is also shrouded in the legend of the Dream of Thutmosis, a tale in which Pharaoh Thutmosis IV, sleeping at its paws, saw dreams that foretold his future power, inspiring him to restore the Sphinx, which had been buried under sand. Beneath its paws, there may be hidden chambers containing artifacts or inscriptions that could reveal more about ancient Egypt. The sense of antiquity emanating from the weathered stone fills the air as light and shadow play on its face throughout the day. In the morning, as the first rays of the sun touch its features, the Sphinx seems alive, as if ready to share its ancient secrets. At midday, with the sun high, its features become sharper, emphasizing its power and grandeur. And in the evening, as the sunset envelops it in a golden light, it appears to be lost in contemplation of the millennia it has witnessed. Numerous expeditions, starting from the 19th century, have attempted to unravel its mysteries, but many questions remain unanswered. Like Atlantis, the Sphinx continues to stir the minds and ignite the thirst for knowledge among archaeologists and history enthusiasts around the world. Few people realize that the ancient Romans created concrete that not only withstood the test of time, but also became stronger with each passing century. This unique building material, known as opus cementitium, contained volcanic ash that was mixed with lime and water, allowing the concrete to harden even underwater. The volcanic additive was typically sourced from the region around Naples, where the volcano Vesuvius provided the Romans with ideal raw material. This ensured the remarkable durability of buildings and structures that have stood for centuries despite the environmental impacts. Roman engineering achievements were not limited to concrete. Aqueducts built in the 1st century BC became architectural masterpieces, enabling water from distant sources to flow into cities like Rome. For example, the Ponte Vecchio aqueduct, over 10 kilometers long, utilized gravity to transport water through skillfully designed arches that spanned valleys. Inside Roman baths, thermae, and even in their homes, it was pleasant and cool thanks to the hypocaust system, where hot air circulated under floors, providing comfort even on the hottest days. The sound of water flowing through ancient aqueducts created a sense of tranquility, while the smoothness of stone polished by centuries under one's fingers reminded of the craftsmanship and attention to detail that Roman builders exhibited in every aspect of their work. These technologies allowed the Romans to construct roads, many of which are still in use today, such as the famous Appian Way, laid in 331 BC. The road was over 3 meters wide and paved with large stones, making it resistant to wear. The Romans did not just build, they created infrastructure that connected their vast empire, facilitating trade and cultural exchange. These accomplishments demonstrate not only their engineering prowess, but also their understanding of the importance of comfort and functionality in urban environments. Imagine holding a stone that has become the key to understanding one of the most mysterious civilizations in history, ancient Egypt. The Rosetta Stone, discovered in Egypt in 1805, is a black basalt stele with 3 texts inscribed on it: hieroglyphics, Demotic, and Greek. The stone is approximately 1 meter tall, 70 centimeters wide, and 30 centimeters thick. Its rough surface contrasts with the clear lines of the hieroglyphs, which seem to defy understanding for nearly 2,000 years. This artifact became the basis for deciphering Egyptian hieroglyphs thanks to the efforts of the French scholar Jean-François Champollion. In 1822, as a linguist and Egyptologist, he successfully decoded the hieroglyphs by comparing the signs with the Greek text, which was understandable. Champollion noticed that the Greek text contained the names of rulers such as Ptolemy and Cleopatra, which helped him establish correspondences between the hieroglyphs and sounds. This process was not easy. He analyzed and compared more than 1,000 symbols before reaching a final understanding. The decipherment of hieroglyphs opened doors to new knowledge about ancient Egyptian culture, religion, and everyday life. Thanks to this breakthrough, scholars could read texts that described rituals, laws, and everyday events, greatly expanding our understanding of life in ancient Egypt. The Rosetta Stone marked the beginning of a new era in Egyptology, allowing scholars to engage in dialogue with the past. The text inscribed on the stone serves not only as evidence of what was written, but also of what was forgotten. Champollion, as the pioneer, gave the world the opportunity to acquaint itself with history that had been shrouded in mystery. His work demonstrated how one discovery can change the perception of an entire civilization and how important it is to preserve and study historical artifacts. The Rosetta Stone holds not only the script, but also the memory of a great culture that left an indelible mark on human history. Ancient architects possessed an extraordinary ability to design structures that not only served practical purposes, but were also meticulously aligned with astronomical events, creating phenomena that captivate the imagination. The Temple of Abu Simbel in Egypt, built in the 13th century BC by order of Pharaoh Ramesses II, is illuminated by sunlight twice a year, on his birthday and on the day of his coronation. During these times, sunlight penetrates through the main entrance and illuminates the seated statue of the pharaoh, creating an illusion of grandeur and divine power. This remarkable effect is achieved through the precise orientation of the temple, which was calculated with remarkable accuracy to coincide with these significant dates. Such moments evoke awe in viewers as they observe how light and shadow play on the walls, creating a mystical atmosphere. Similarly, the Pyramid of Kukulkan in Chichen Itza, built between the 9th and 12th centuries AD, demonstrates an extraordinary interaction between architecture and astronomy. During the equinoxes, when sunlight falls at a specific angle, a serpent's head effect appears on the pyramid's stairs. This phenomenon occurs due to the interplay of light and shadow, creating a spectacle that both captivates and amazes. Thousands of tourists gather at this time, marveling at the skill of the ancient builders who were able to create such harmony between nature and architecture. Stonehenge in England, dating back to approximately the 3rd millennium BC, is another example of astronomical precision. This megalithic structure is aligned with the sunrise on the summer solstice, when the sun rises above the horizon and its rays penetrate the center of the circle of stones. This creates an effect that makes viewers feel a connection to the heavens, as if they are part of something greater. The sounds of awestruck whispers and admiration that fill the air underscore the importance of this moment for all present. Every detail, from the arrangement of the stones to their sizes, was designed to capture this unique astronomical moment, and viewers, like the ancient priests, feel like witnesses to something sacred. In each of these examples, architecture is not just a shelter or a place of worship. It becomes a place of interaction between humanity and the cosmos, where every stone and every shadow has meaning. The ancient builders have left us a legacy that continues to inspire and amaze, and their achievements in the fields of astronomy and architecture testify to a deep understanding of nature and the universe. The Temple of Abu Simbel, the Pyramid of Kukulkan, and Stonehenge continue to inspire millions of people who strive to understand how ancient civilizations used their knowledge to create such outstanding structures. In the heart of Mexico lies the magnificent city of Teotihuacan, whose name translates to the city where people become gods. This place, built by unknown architects, is awe-inspiring in its scale and mysteries. The pyramids of the sun and the moon, towering over ancient streets, are true monuments reflecting the genius of their creators. The Pyramid of the Sun, with a height of nearly 63 meters, is one of the largest pyramids in the world, and its base covers around 48 hectares. The Pyramid of the Moon, though smaller in size, is impressive in its symmetry and precision, with a height of about 45 meters. The Avenue of the Dead, the central axis of the city, stretches for 2.5 kilometers and serves as the main guide for visitors. Along both sides of the avenue are excavated residential and commercial buildings, as well as numerous temples, creating a sense of majestic symmetry and strict geometry. This layout, based on astronomical observations and mathematical calculations, speaks to the high level of knowledge and technology of the ancient builders. As you walk along the Avenue of the Dead, the echo of your footsteps from the stone walls gives the feeling that you are not alone in this ancient city. The wind blowing between the pyramids brings with it the whisper of history, making you ponder how the inhabitants of Teotihuacan lived and what secrets they left behind. The walls of these monumental structures, marked by the cracks of time, tell stories of unknown events that led to the decline of this magnificent city. Despite the fact that many believe Teotihuacan was built by the Aztecs, its creators remain unknown. Archaeologists still cannot determine the exact causes of the city's abandonment, and this lack of clarity only adds to the mystery of its history. 80% of the city's population was engaged in agriculture. But what happened to its inhabitants? What were their customs and rituals? Teotihuacan also served as an important cultural and trade center, with its influence reaching great distances, as evidenced by artifacts found even in distant places like Honduras. The diversity of cultural elements found in Teotihuacan indicates that it was a true melting pot where languages, traditions, and beliefs mixed. It is interesting that in archaeological excavations conducted in the year 2000, more than 100,000 artifacts were discovered, including ceramics, tools, and even jewelry, confirming the active life of this metropolis. Spanish conquistadors first learned about Teotihuacan in the 18th century, but by then the city had been abandoned for more than 1,000 years. The Palace of the Feathered Serpent, adorned with carvings symbolizing divine powers, reaches a height of 8 meters and attracts the attention of researchers from around the world. This place remains a subject of intense study, and scientists continue to try to unravel its mysteries, using modern technologies such as ground-penetrating radar and laser scanning to gain a deeper understanding of how this magnificent city could have existed and thrived for many centuries. Imagine for a moment cold, crystal-chiseled skulls, carved with extraordinary precision and polished to almost mirror-like perfection. These artifacts, supposedly found in Central America, possess anatomical accuracy down to the smallest details, including the grooves on the skull that match human anatomy. Some of these skulls can refract light in such a way as to create unique optical effects, playing with shades and reflections, evoking a sense of mystery and enigma. The first information about them appeared in the late 19th century when archaeologists began finding similar objects in Mexico and Guatemala. The most famous is the skull that was presented in London in the 19th century and continues to spark debate to this day. Some scholars claim that these are ancient artifacts imbued with mystical properties, capable of predicting the future or curing diseases, and associate them with the Maya or Aztec cultures. Others, on the other hand, believe them to be skillful forgeries created during the same era when archaeologists were searching for the treasures of ancient civilizations. For example, in 1901, a skull was exhibited in a New York gallery that was later found to have been made using modern tools. Nevertheless, even among the forgeries, there are examples that astound with their detail and quality, further complicating the question of their true origin. The crystal from which they are made has a remarkable property. It feels cold to the touch, a sensation that sharply contrasts with the heat of Central America. Looking at such a skull gives the impression that the empty eye sockets are staring directly at the observer, evoking a sense of inexplicable unease and curiosity. Scientific research shows that creating such skulls would require technologies that are believed to have been unavailable in ancient times. However, it remains unclear how these skulls could have been created with such extraordinary precision. Crystal experts assert that processing such materials requires not only skill, but also specific knowledge of the properties of minerals. Therefore, crystal skulls continue to be a subject of debate and research, attracting the interest of researchers and enthusiasts of mysteries. To this day, only a few examples remain, each one holding secrets yet to be deciphered. For instance, the skull in the British Museum was given to a collector in the 1870s and still does not have a definitive dating. The Library of Alexandria, founded in the 3rd century BC, became a symbol of knowledge and wisdom of the ancient world, housing up to 700,000 scrolls that covered all fields of science, philosophy, literature, and art. This institution did not merely preserve texts, but actively expanded its collections. Every ship arriving at the port of Alexandria underwent strict scrutiny. Copies of all texts on board were made to enrich the library's holdings. The best minds of the time, scholars and scribes, worked on creating precise copies of manuscripts. The atmosphere of the library was permeated with the scent of ancient parchment, and the rustling of papyrus scrolls created a soft whisper, as if the texts themselves shared their secrets with readers. Oil lamps, softly illuminating the ancient texts, added a mystical aura to this temple of knowledge, immersing visitors in a world of contemplation and discovery. However, the fate of the Library of Alexandria was tragic. Several versions of its demise exist. One of the most well-known is linked to a fire that occurred during Julius Caesar's siege of Alexandria in 41 BC. This fire, according to various accounts, destroyed a significant portion of the scrolls, though not all. Later, in the 7th century, Caliph Omar, according to some sources, ordered the remaining parts of the library to be destroyed, believing that the texts contradicted the Quran and should not be preserved. However, historians debate whether this order was actually carried out, and many believe that the library gradually declined due to a loss of interest in scientific knowledge and constant wars. It is unknown exactly how many scrolls were lost in these events, but the fact remains, the Library of Alexandria, once a repository of invaluable ancient knowledge, faded into the mists of history, leaving behind only legends and the bitterness of loss. The latter half of the 20th century saw attempts to restore the memory of the library and its significance, resulting in the creation of a new Library of Alexandria in 2002. While this modern library, at its core, can only partially embody the grandeur of its predecessor, it serves as a testament to the enduring legacy of the ancient institution. The enigmatic Sphinx, standing on the plateau of Giza, calls to us from the depths of time, leaving many questions unanswered. Some researchers, including geologist Robert Schoch, assert that the erosion marks on the Sphinx's body suggest it may be significantly older than commonly believed. These marks, they argue, could only have been caused by prolonged periods of rain, which were characteristic of the region more than 10,000 years ago. According to Schoch's data, the Sphinx itself could date back to an era when the climate was much wetter than it is today. This implies that the structure could have been built during a period when Egypt experienced entirely different climatic conditions. Unlike the aridity that characterizes it today, the astronomical alignment of the Sphinx with the constellation Leo adds to the mystery. Around 10,500 years ago, the constellation Leo was on the eastern horizon during the vernal equinox, suggesting that the builders of the Sphinx were well versed in celestial phenomena and their significance. The silent majesty of this stone giant, where stone has weathered under the influence of time and elements, creates an atmosphere of profound antiquity. As if the Sphinx has witnessed countless events that will never be recorded in history. The interplay of light and shadow on its enigmatic face reflects not only the skill of ancient architects, but also the contemplation of nature itself, giving the impression that the stone holds secrets that we will never unravel. These theories, despite sparking debate in scientific circles, underscore that human history is full of gaps and unspoken truths, and the Sphinx continues to be a symbol of this undeciphered antiquity. The number of studies and debates surrounding the age of the Sphinx grows each year, and each new discovery only fuels the flames of the controversy. In the ancient texts of many cultures, one can find astonishing references to chariots of the gods, which captivate the imagination and often spark debates among historians and archaeologists. For example, the Vedas describe divine chariots that could swiftly traverse the heavens, leaving behind glowing trails. These chariots are often accompanied by thunderous sounds and strong winds, creating an atmosphere of grandeur and power. The Bible mentions a chariot on which the prophet Elijah appeared, surrounded by fire and bright light, suggesting some form of supernatural transportation. Similarly, Sumerian texts contain descriptions of gods like Enki and Enlil using flying devices to descend to Earth, raising questions about what these descriptions truly represent. Erich von Däniken, known for his theories on ancient astronauts, proposes that these chariots could be evidence of contact with extraterrestrial beings. He argues that ancient people might have interpreted advanced alien technologies as divine intervention. Conversely, many scientists and researchers believe these descriptions are metaphorical constructs reflecting natural phenomena such as lightning or meteor showers, which ancient people could not explain. In such interpretations, chariots become symbols of the inexplicable rather than real objects. These descriptions are rich in vivid imagery. Gleaming lights, thunderous sounds, and powerful air currents create a living picture. Some texts mention that the appearance of such chariots preceded catastrophic events on Earth, adding another layer to their significance. These divine devices are often associated with myths of creation and destruction, where their appearance foretells change. For instance, in Sumerian myths, gods used their chariots to fight chaos and establish order on Earth, emphasizing their importance as symbols of power and control. With each new archaeological discovery and technological advancement, scientists continue to study these ancient texts, seeking to understand their meaning and origins. One such discovery was the analysis of clay tablets found in Mesopotamia, which some researchers interpret as depictions of flying machines. Consequently, discussions about chariots of the gods continue to draw attention to the theme of ancient technologies and human imagination. These discussions often lead to unexpected conclusions and theories that intersect with modern scientific discoveries, opening new horizons for understanding our history. There are numerous examples supporting these ideas, including research on texts dating back to the 3rd millennium BCE, which describe divine journeys in the heavens. It is worth noting that such descriptions are not unique to one culture, but are found worldwide, from Indian Vedas to Sumerian myths, prompting researchers to consider the possible shared roots of these beliefs. Remarkably, on the map created by Piri Reis in 1513, the shores of Antarctica are depicted, which according to modern data have been hidden under ice for centuries. Ottoman Admiral Piri Reis, who created this map, claimed to have used ancient sources, including works by Greek and Arab cartographers, raising the question of how he could have recorded such geographical details that became known only in the 20th century through scientific research. The map clearly shows the outlines of the coast that match modern data on the relief of the Antarctic seabed, which causes wonder and bewilderment among historians and geographers. Some researchers suggest that Piri Reis might have had access to more ancient maps, lost over the centuries, or information from sailors who explored these waters long before the discovery of Antarctica in 1818. In addition to the map of Piri Reis, there are other ancient maps, such as the map by Cosmas Indicopleustes, dated to 1531, which also contains images of southern lands, challenging traditional views on when and how these territories were discovered. Modern research using satellite technology and geolocation data confirms that the relief depicted on the maps indeed matches the geographical features of the subglacial landscape, further deepening the mystery of these cartographic works. Some scientists even propose the hypothesis that civilizations existing before our era might have possessed advanced knowledge of geography and navigation, as evidenced by artifacts found in various parts of the world. This discovery raises many questions about the level of development of these ancient societies and their knowledge of the world. In particular, the map of Piri Reis contains more than 60 geographical objects, many of which coincide with known places today, highlighting the high accuracy of cartography of that time. Considering that the worldview in the early 16th century was far from the modern understanding, such precise images generate genuine interest and numerous debates among researchers. For example, in 1938, American geographer Charles Hapgood proposed a theory that ancient maps could have been created based on knowledge of polar regions, accessible only to certain sailors, opening new horizons for the study of ancient civilizations and their knowledge of the world. As a result, maps like the map of Piri Reis not only serve as tangible evidence of the navigational skills of their time, but also challenge traditional views on how humans perceived their environment. These maps attract the interest not only of historians, but also of an entire generation of enthusiasts eager to unravel the mysteries they hold. Research shows that the details depicted on the maps may be connected to myths and legends passed down through generations, underscoring the importance of studying these artifacts for understanding the cultural heritage of humanity. Ultimately, the maps of Piri Reis and other ancient cartographers open up not only new geographical horizons, but also deep questions about human knowledge, navigation, and history. Imagine holding in your hands an ancient clay vessel that could revolutionize our understanding of past technologies. This vessel, known as the Baghdad Battery, dates back to around 250 years before our era. Inside it, there is a copper cylinder, and in the center, an iron rod creates a unique structure that remarkably resembles modern electrical components. When the vessel is filled with an electrolyte, such as vinegar or lemon juice, it can generate a small voltage, just around 1 volt. Experiments conducted by modern scientists have confirmed that such a battery could have been used for various purposes. One popular theory suggests that the Baghdad battery was used for electroplating metals, allowing for the creation of more durable and aesthetically pleasing items. Other researchers propose that it was used for medical purposes, possibly for treating diseases through electrotherapy, which would have been revolutionary for its time. Some also suggest that this device could have been used to create religious miracles, such as effects of lighting in temples. When you hold this artifact, you feel the weight of the ancient material, and the dull metal reminds you of a time when technologies were just in their infancy. A slight tingling that ancient people might have felt upon contact with the active device reveals hidden aspects of their daily lives, showing that even in those times they experimented with electricity. These details highlight not only the ingenuity of the ancients, but also their desire to understand nature and harness its powers. The Baghdad battery may be a testament to how technologies could have been ahead of their time by several centuries. The discovery of this battery in the 20th century attracted the attention of researchers and history enthusiasts, sparking debates and discussions about how deeply the knowledge of electricity was rooted in antiquity. The exact details of this device's origin remain unknown, but its construction and potential capabilities raise many questions about what else the ancient civilizations could have created. Ultimately, the Baghdad battery is a vivid example of how even the simplest objects can open doors to the past and inspire awe with their potential. In the caves of Liguria on the north of Italy, archaeologists have discovered cave paintings that raise numerous questions and debates. These mysterious figures, dated to around 30,000 years ago, depict objects that many researchers compare to modern-day submarines. The caves housing these images exude coolness and mystery, with soft lighting barely allowing the details to be discerned, which enhances the atmosphere of enigma. Some of the figures resemble elongated, streamlined shapes with characteristic protrusions that could resemble modern submarines or even spacecraft. This discovery has sparked discussions and disagreements among historians and archaeologists. Some scientists assert that these images could be evidence of ancient technologies that exceeded their time, suggesting that the Ligurians had access to knowledge that was lost over centuries. Others lean towards more rational explanations, proposing that these drawings represent stylized depictions of boats or animals that were part of the daily life of ancient people. They might have used these images for rituals or as part of their artistic expression. There is even a theory that these figures served as navigational markers for fishermen or hunters, indicating specific locations where food could be found. These interpretations highlight the diversity of opinions among scholars and history enthusiasts, each opening new horizons for understanding the life and culture of ancient people. The discovered paintings not only intrigue but also prompt reflection on how our ancestors perceived and interpreted the world around them. These findings were first documented at the end of the 19th century, when Italian archaeologist Giuseppe Ferraris conducted a series of excavations in these caves. He described his discoveries in scientific articles, drawing attention to these unusual objects. Since then, scientists have continued to study these ancient drawings, and each step in this direction opens new avenues for discussion and understanding. Various studies show that there are many similar cave paintings in Liguria that could provide insights into the lives of people in prehistoric times. To date, over 200 different drawings have been found, suggesting that this was an important part of the cultural identity of the ancient Ligurians. Furthermore, these caves have yielded other artifacts, such as tools and food remains, which confirm that this place was actively used by people. These findings help create a more comprehensive picture of the daily life and culture of the ancient inhabitants of Liguria, combining elements of art, technology, and everyday life. Incredibly, but true, ancient civilizations possessed astronomical knowledge that even modern scientists find astonishing. For instance, the Maya were able to calculate the length of the solar year with an accuracy of up to 22 seconds. This achievement was possible thanks to their observations of solar cycles, which they recorded in complex calendars. They had a whole set of calendars, including the Tzolkin, a sacred calendar consisting of 260 days, and the Harb, a solar calendar with 13 months. The Babylonians, who lived in what is now Iraq, predicted lunar eclipses based on their observations of lunar phases and the eclipse cycle, which they recorded on clay tablets. They developed complex mathematical methods that allowed them to predict such events with a precision that was unattainable for many later. On the other side of the world, the builders of Newgrange in Ireland created monumental structures that were illuminated by the sun only on the winter solstice. These ancient structures, made of huge stones, were meticulously designed so that the sun's rays would penetrate them at specific moments of the year, creating an atmosphere of awe and connection with the cosmos. The Antikythera mechanism, found on a shipwreck off the Greek island of Antikythera, is a complex device used for calculating the movements of celestial bodies. This device, dating back to the 1st century BC, includes numerous gears and mechanisms, allowing users to predict solar and lunar eclipses as well as other astronomical events. The night sky, adorned with stars, was an object of veneration for many ancient peoples. They sought in it not only practical guidance for agriculture and navigation, but also spiritual inspiration. Observatories like Stonehenge created silence in which astronomical observations became acts of sacred ritual. These places gathered people who, with reverence, gazed at celestial phenomena, realizing that they were part of something greater. Ancient peoples did not just study the stars, they created entire systems of knowledge that allowed them to predict not only natural phenomena, but also to determine their festivals, rituals, and planting times. In some cultures, astronomy and religion were inseparable, underscoring the importance and significance of celestial objects for society. For example, in ancient Egypt, the star Sirius was associated with the beginning of the Nile's flood, which was a key event for agriculture. Complex astronomical tables created by the Babylonians included data on planets, allowing them to predict various astronomical cycles and events, such as the appearance of comets. The ancient Persians, in addition to their astronomical observations, also developed extensive calendar systems that took into account solar and lunar cycles. All these achievements demonstrate not only the technical skills of ancient civilizations, but also their deep connection with nature and celestial phenomena. At the entrance to the harbor of Rhodes, there once stood one of the most impressive statues of antiquity, the Colossus of Rhodes. This bronze figure, approximately 33 meters tall, depicted the sun god Helios, who, according to mythology, was the patron of the island. The statue was made of bronze plates laid on a stone base, which gave it a magnificent shine under the sun's rays. As ships approached the harbor, sailors could see the Colossus rising above the water, creating the impression that the god himself was watching over them. Construction of the Colossus began in 280 BC and took 12 years to complete. The project was carried out by the sculptor Chares, who, according to legend, was inspired by ancient statues, but his creation was unique due to its scale and architectural refinement. The Colossus was not only a symbol of victory over the Macedonian king Demetrius Poliorcetes, but also an important navigational landmark for sailors. Some researchers suggest that the statue may have served as a lighthouse, guiding ships to safety due to its location and height. However, this version remains controversial. The awe inspired by the Colossus was comparable to the admiration we have for modern architectural wonders such as the Eiffel Tower. Waves crashing beneath its feet created a roar that, mixed with the cries of sailors, created an atmosphere of grandeur and power. However, in 226 BC, a strong earthquake destroyed the Colossus, leaving only fragments that, according to historians, lay on the ground for more than 80 years before being sold as trophies. The statue was never restored, but its grandeur lived on in the collective memory of people as a symbol of human skill and ambition. The admiration for the Colossus of Rhodes in ancient times reflected not only technical achievements, but also a deep spiritual connection with myths and beliefs that this statue embodied. Legend has it that in ancient Babylon there existed the Hanging Gardens of Semiramis, which amazed contemporaries with their majestic beauty and engineering prowess. These gardens are believed to have been terraces supported by columns, on which grew exotic plants, creating a green oasis in the arid landscape of Mesopotamia. Archaeologists suggest that a complex irrigation system was used to water the gardens, drawing water from the Euphrates River. This system could have included screw pumps and channels that delivered water to the upper levels of the terraces, a true marvel of engineering for its time. Despite their fame as one of the 7 wonders of the world, archaeologists have yet to find definitive remains of these gardens, fueling heated debates about their actual existence. Some researchers claim that the Hanging Gardens could have been located not in Babylon, but in Nineveh, under the rule of the Assyrians. Nevertheless, descriptions of the gardens in the works of ancient authors such as Strabo and Pliny the Elder speak of lush greenery and the aromas of exotic flowers that filled the air. Imagine the sound of water from fountains mingling with a gentle breeze, bringing coolness to the scorching climate of the region. The shade from tall trees above the terraces created ideal conditions for rest and meditation, while the vibrant green of the gardens contrasted with the surrounding desert, as if recreating a paradise on earth. These elements provided not only aesthetic pleasure, but also practical use in the daily lives of the Babylonians. The discussion about the reality of the Hanging Gardens of Semiramis continues, and each new archaeological project may bring unexpected discoveries and transformations in our understanding of this remarkable wonder. In the 20th century, archaeologists such as Robert Calderway conducted excavations in the area believed to be the location of the gardens, but they have yet to find conclusive evidence of their existence. Research continues, and with each passing year, new methods such as ground-penetrating radar and remote sensing are being employed in the search for this ancient wonder. On the remote island of Easter, in the heart of the Pacific Ocean, stand hundreds of majestic moai, silent guardians of the ancient Rapa Nui culture. These monumental statues reach heights of up to 10 meters and weigh up to 80 tons each. Made from volcanic tuff, the moai have distinctive features: large heads with pronounced facial features, long noses, and massive chins, which convey an impression of wisdom and strength. The statues are located along the coast and on the interior of the island, with the most famous ones standing on the Ahu Tongariki platform, where 15 moai are lined up, seemingly guarding the entrance to the world of humans. The mystery of their transportation from the quarries on the eastern side of the island to the coast remains one of the most debated topics among scientists and researchers. Various hypotheses exist. Some suggest that logs were used as rollers to move the statues, while others propose that the moai walked, rocking back and forth to move across the ground. The atmosphere around these giants is imbued with mystery. The sound of ocean waves crashing against the rocky shore blends with the soft whisper of the wind, which caresses the stern faces of the statues, creating a sense of isolation and eternity. Each statue, as if alive, holds within it the history of its people, their beliefs and aspirations. 82 moai were found in various states, some even left unfinished, raising questions about why the Rapa Nui started but did not complete their ambitious projects. Researchers like Jeremy Begley and his team conducted studies in geology and archaeology to understand how the island's living conditions influenced the creation of these captivating statues. One of the most interesting findings was the use of simple tools such as stone chisels and hammers, highlighting the incredible skills and diligence of the ancient artisans. According to the latest estimates, there are approximately 900 statues on the island, each seemingly holding not only the secrets of their creation, but also the stories of the people who built them. Despite its remoteness and isolation, Easter Island continues to attract the attention of researchers and tourists who strive to unravel the mysteries of its past. Ancient civilizations possessed knowledge of the spherical shape of the Earth long before it became an accepted fact. For instance, as early as the 6th century BC, the Pythagoreans hypothesized that the planet was round, based on their observations of celestial bodies and the harmony in nature. These ideas were developed by philosophers such as Aristotle in the 4th century BC, who provided several compelling arguments. He noted that during lunar eclipses, Earth casts a circular shadow on the Moon, indicating its sphericity. Aristotle also pointed out that when traveling south, observers see new stars that are not visible in northern latitudes, further confirming the planet's curvature. During the Hellenistic era, Eratosthenes, around 200 years BC, measured the Earth's circumference with remarkable accuracy using simple yet ingenious methods. He observed that in the city of Syene, now Aswan, on the summer solstice, sunlight fell vertically into a well, while in Alexandria it formed an angle of 7 degrees. Eratosthenes used this difference to calculate the distance between the cities and thus approximately determine the circumference of the Earth at 62,000 stadia, which is roughly 66,000 kilometers. In most ancient civilizations, educated people were aware of the Earth's sphericity, including the ancient Indians, who also described the world as a sphere. Observing the stars, ancient sailors noticed that ships disappeared over the horizon, which also indicated the Earth's curvature. Depending on their latitude, they could see different constellations, further confirming that the Earth was not flat. Overall, knowledge of the Earth's sphericity was widespread among scholars and philosophers, and this knowledge was passed down through the ages, remaining a foundation for further geographical and astronomical discoveries. Imagine a world where suddenly a mysterious civilization emerged from the marshes of Mesopotamia, between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, the Sumerians. Around 4,000 years before our era, on this fertile land, city-states such as Uruk, and Lagash began to develop, with well-organized irrigation systems that allowed for the cultivation of vast agricultural lands. The Sumerians called themselves black-headed due to the black color of their hair and clothing, and according to their mythology, the civilization was a gift from beings known as the Anunnaki, which raises questions about how ancient people interpreted their knowledge and discoveries. In this context, Sumerian cuneiform writing emerged as a means of recording knowledge and managing resources. Scribes left records on clay tablets about income, harvests, and even legal issues, thereby laying the foundation for future administrative systems. Remarkably, the Sumerians also possessed advanced knowledge in astronomy, which was ahead of its time. They observed the movements of celestial bodies and recorded planets like Venus and Mars, which were not visible to the naked eye, using their complex tables to predict astronomical events. Sumerian astronomers not only identified planets, but also developed a system of dividing time into 12 parts, which became the basis for our modern understanding of hours and degrees. The rustling of reeds in the marshes and the sound of styluses scratching on clay tablets created an atmosphere filled with mysteries and secrets that remain unsolved to this day. The culture of the Sumerians, with their advanced technologies and unique system of beliefs, continues to fascinate historians and archaeologists who seek to understand how and why this civilization arose so suddenly and with such a high level of development. Their achievements in architecture, such as the ziggurats, which were stepped pyramids reaching towards the heavens, demonstrate how close they were to understanding architectural principles. The height of some ziggurats reached 30 meters, and their construction required complex organization of labor and resources. The Sumerians left behind a vast legacy, including mythology where gods controlled all aspects of life, from harvests to war, and this legacy continues to influence subsequent cultures in the region. In the ancient Indian epic Mahabharata, there are descriptions of technologies that are astonishing in their level and detail. One of the most striking examples is the mention of shining weapons that produced light brighter than 1,000 suns. This weapon did not merely defeat enemies on the battlefield, but also had catastrophic consequences. After its use, food became poisoned, and the survivors lost their hair and nails. Such descriptions evoke a sense of awe when one realizes that ancient people possessed knowledge of technologies that seem fantastical today. The texts also mention vimanas, flying machines that could travel vast distances through the air. These devices are described as capable of flying like birds and even possessing the ability to become invisible. In Vedic texts such as the Rig Veda, detailed instructions for their construction and use are provided, raising questions about the extent of ancient Indian knowledge in the fields of aerodynamics and materials science. Another intriguing aspect is the mirrors used in ancient China for transmitting images over long distances. These devices, according to descriptions, could focus sunlight and create clear projections, reminiscent of modern video conferencing technology. Reading these lines simultaneously evokes surprise and admiration. The archaic language of the texts contrasts with modern technological concepts, creating a sense of temporal dissonance. It is important to note that such mentions of advanced technologies in ancient texts are not isolated. For example, in the Ramayana, there are also descriptions of magical arrows that could fly to their targets on their own, and of deities who used them with incredible accuracy. These descriptions highlight not only the richness of mythology, but also the deep knowledge of astronomy and mathematics that may have been accessible to ancient civilizations. Overall, such texts remind us that history may conceal many secrets, and understanding these technologies could open new horizons in the study of ancient cultures. Specific details, such as the description of the effects of shining weapons, demonstrate that the concept of the destructive potential of technologies was known to humanity long before our era. The fate of those who dared to disturb the peace of ancient Egyptian tombs is shrouded in numerous legends and myths, and one of the most famous is the so-called Curse of the Pharaohs. It gained particular popularity after the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb in 1922 by British archaeologist Howard Carter, with the expedition funded by Lord Carnarvon. Just a few months after the tomb's opening, in April 1923, Carnarvon died from an infection caused by a mosquito bite, which ultimately led to his death. This event sparked rumors about a curse that supposedly pursued anyone who dared to disturb the peace of the pharaohs. Soon after, several other expedition members also became victims of strange and tragic circumstances. For instance, in 1922, one of the team members died from a mysterious illness, and contemporary accounts described a sense of unease in the air, with the musty smell of the ancient burial chambers exacerbating the atmosphere of tension. Some researchers suggested that the cause could have been toxic mushrooms that grew in the damp and dark conditions of the tombs, where objects adorned with gold and silver were found. These moldy mushrooms can release toxins that can cause severe allergic reactions and health deterioration. Others pointed to psychosomatic effects. Fear of the curse could cause real physical ailments. For example, when entering the tomb under the dim light of torches illuminating hieroglyphic warnings on the walls, archaeologists felt growing anxiety and even panic, which could affect their perception of reality and health. In this context, the curse of the pharaohs appears not only as a mystical tradition, but also as a result of human psychology, where fear of the unknown and ancient can turn against the person themselves. The story of the curse became part of a broader cultural mythology about ancient Egypt, where mysteries and riddles continue to attract attention and interest. Throughout the history of archaeology, there have been other cases where researchers who disturbed the peace of the ancient faced unexplained events. For example, in 1930, several people died during excavations of other tombs in Egypt, further fueling the myths about the curse. These incidents, although they have logical explanations, only intensify the aura of mystery surrounding ancient Egyptian burial practices and their legacy. Despite scientific explanations, the curse of the pharaohs continues to live in people's minds as a reminder that ancient secrets are not always subject to rational understanding, and perhaps some things should be left undisturbed. 80 years after the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb in 2012, archaeologists found another untouched tomb in Luxor, and although no researcher encountered the curse, they still felt as if they were on the brink of something extraordinary, as if ancient spirits were watching them. In the dense jungles of Yucatan, the ancient city of Mérida hides, captivating with its architectural diversity and mystery. Walls draped in greenery preserve traces of the Maya, Toltecs, and even elements reminiscent of late Spanish influences. This architectural symphony, born around the 8th century AD, showcases intricate patterns characteristic of the key civilizations of the time. Researchers suggest that Mérida served as a significant trade and cultural hub, linking various peoples and their traditions. Archaeological finds, such as unusual ceramic vessels with Toltec motifs and unique statues reflecting the influence of other cultures, support this hypothesis. In a dig conducted in 2001, artifacts were discovered, including obsidian tools, which were known to be used far beyond Yucatan. This indicates extensive trade connections with other regions, such as central Mexico. The thick jungle surrounding the ruins creates an enchanting atmosphere where every rustle of leaves seems like an echo of ancient footsteps. Here, amidst the sounds of the tropical forest, one can imagine how various cultures intersected, exchanging ideas and goods. Ancient temples adorned with carvings appear as living witnesses to these encounters, while lost rituals and ceremonies once held within their walls inspire contemporary research. Each stone here breathes history, and the mysteries they hold await their revelation. In 2006, archaeologists found carved stones with hieroglyphs, which, according to some, may indicate direct contacts with other civilizations, such as the Aztecs and even cultures from more distant regions. These discoveries raise new questions about the extent of Mérida's connections and influence on the development of other cultures. Research continues, and each new artifact adds details to the incomplete picture. 80 years after the first excavations in 2020, scientists began using new technologies to analyze the soil, revealing additional layers of history hidden beneath the earth. Mérida, with its complex network of influences and cultural exchanges, continues to draw researchers seeking to unravel its secrets. In this place where the sounds of nature and echoes of ancient civilizations blend, one can feel the spirit of time that seems to have never left these lands. It is astonishing that the Aztecs developed a unique system of calendars that was not only complex, but also extremely accurate. The basis of this system was two main calendars: the ritual Tonalpohualli, consisting of 260 days, and the solar Xiuhpohualli, consisting of 365 days. Each of these calendars had its own significance and was used for different purposes. The Tonalpohualli, consisting of 18 months of 20 days each, with 5 additional days, was important for religious rituals and ceremonies related to the gods and their influence on crops and human life. In contrast, the Xiuhpohualli determined agricultural cycles and the times for planting and harvesting, making it an integral part of the economic life of the Aztecs. These two calendars were combined into a complex system, forming a 52-year cycle, at the end of which an important ritual took place: the renewal of the fire. During this ritual, the Aztecs conducted ceremonies filled with both anxiety and hope that the world would not end. On the night when one cycle ended, priests would light a new fire on the chest of a victim to ensure that the sun would continue its path. The Aztecs carefully observed the movements of the stars and planets, allowing them to predict astronomical phenomena with remarkable accuracy. They could precisely calculate eclipses and other significant events, demonstrating their deep knowledge of astronomy. The calendar was not just a tool for tracking time, but also an essential aspect of their religious philosophy, which determined their lives and rituals. The rhythmic flow of time was reflected in the complex ceremonies and rituals that took place on important dates. Each month began with new rituals, creating a sense of an unbroken cycle of life and death, light and dark. The Aztecs believed that their existence depended on these rituals, emphasizing the importance of the calendar in their culture. The calendars of the Aztecs were not only practical tools, but also a reflection of their worldview, in which time and religion were inseparably linked. The Tonalpohualli and Xiuhpohualli formed the basis for understanding their place in the world, underscoring the importance of accuracy and ritual in the lives of the Aztecs. At an altitude of more than 3,800 meters above sea level, in the thin mountain air, lies a mysterious place called Pumapunku. Here, one can observe stone blocks weighing up to 800 tons, cut with such precision that not even a knife blade can fit between them. These massive stones, made of andesite and granite, are remarkable for their perfectly smooth surfaces and precise right angles. Even with modern tools, the processing of such hard material presents a significant challenge, raising questions about the capabilities of ancient builders. Some stones have complex carvings that cannot be replicated without modern technology. For example, on the blocks, one can see indentations and projections that fit together perfectly, creating the illusion of a monolithic structure. Metal brackets found in some places indicate that the blocks were connected with extraordinary precision and reliability. But the origin of these brackets and the methods used to apply them remain a mystery. This raises questions. How were ancient people able to accomplish such a task without written records of construction? There is not a single record or even oral tradition that could explain how this complex was built. The atmosphere of Pumapunku is filled with silence and grandeur. Here one can feel the contrast between the rough surrounding landscape and the incredible precision of the stonework, which creates a sense of the presence of an ancient civilization with knowledge that has been lost over time. In Pumapunku, every detail breathes history, but the place remains a mystery open to researchers and travelers. Archaeologists still debate when this structure was built and who its creators were. Some researchers date it to the time before our era, while others believe it was built in the early Middle Ages. But the exact date and the people behind this monumental construction remain unknown. On the eastern coast of the Indian Ocean, there once existed one of the most remarkable ancient civilizations, the Indus Valley Civilization, with centers in Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro. These cities were true masterpieces of urban planning, with streets intersecting at right angles and houses built from fired brick, ensuring their longevity. Harappa, with a population of around 40,000 people, had a complex sewage system that allowed for the removal of wastewater from homes, creating healthier living conditions. Mohenjo-Daro, on the other hand, was proud of its Great Bath, a massive pool measuring 30 by 20 meters, likely used for ritual ablutions. These cities had standardized weights and measures, indicating a high level of trade and economic activity. Nevertheless, despite all their achievements, the Indus Valley civilization suddenly disappeared, leaving behind only ruins and numerous questions. The reasons for the decline of this advanced culture remain a topic of heated debate among scholars. One of the most widely accepted theories suggests that changes in the courses of rivers like the Indus and its tributaries could have led to catastrophic consequences for agriculture, which was the basis of the city's existence. Additionally, climate changes that caused droughts could have exacerbated the situation. Other researchers point to possible invasions by Aryan tribes that could have destroyed the infrastructure and cultural ties between the cities. Some even propose that epidemics could have struck the population and contributed to its disappearance. Walking through the narrow streets of Mohenjo-Daro, one could hear the lively bustle of trade, the sound of footsteps on stone pavements, and the sense of fresh fruits and spices wafting from local shops. But over time, the noise of these streets faded, houses gradually crumbled, and once thriving markets emptied, leaving behind only the memory of a great civilization. Currently, archaeologists continue to explore these mysterious places, uncovering artifacts that help us better understand the lives of the people who inhabited these cities. Discoveries such as seals with animal images and inscriptions allow us to glimpse into the distant past and attempt to reconstruct the picture of life in a civilization that was once one of the most advanced on the planet. In ancient Mesopotamia, ziggurats, astonishing stepped towers that could reach 90 meters in height, towered. These monumental structures, built of fired brick and adorned with glazed tiles, served not only as architectural masterpieces but also as significant cultural symbols. The stepped form of the ziggurats resembled staircases leading to the heavens, emphasizing their connection to the divine. Researchers have proposed several theories about the purpose of these structures. One of the most widely accepted theories suggests that ziggurats were used as temples where religious ceremonies and sacrifices were performed. For instance, the ziggurat in Ur, built around 2,000 years before our era, was dedicated to the moon god Nana and served as a sanctuary where residents could seek their deity. Other scholars believe that ziggurats could have functioned as astronomical observatories, allowing priests to observe celestial bodies and predict natural disasters. It is worth noting that some ziggurats were located on elevated sites, making them natural shelters during the frequent floods characteristic of the region. In this context, the ziggurat can be seen as a symbol of the world mountain, representing the connection between the earthly and the heavenly. Ascending the monumental staircases, one felt a sense of approaching the heavens, and from the upper platform, a breathtaking view of the city unfolded, where majestic buildings appeared like toys against the vast horizon. The long shadows cast by the ziggurat at sunset created an atmosphere of mystery and grandeur, prompting residents to reflect on their place in the world and their connection to the divine. These structures, embodying not only architectural achievements but also complex religious beliefs, left a profound mark on human history, reflecting humanity's quest to understand its place in the vast expanse of the universe. Ziggurats were not just buildings. They were important centers of life and faith around which the social structure of ancient cities revolved. In particular, the ziggurat in Babylon, dating back to the 6th century before our era, embodied the ideals of its time, combining both religious and administrative functions. Imagine the streets of ancient cities, where the gentle sound of water in canals creates a cozy backdrop for everyday life. The Roman aqueducts, built in the 1st century BC, could transport water over distances of up to 100 kilometers. These monumental structures, with their characteristic arches, used the force of gravity to convey water from mountain sources to cities, providing residents with clean water. In Rome, the water supply system was so advanced that the city had more than 12 aqueducts, which supplied water not only for drinking, but also for public baths, fountains, and private homes. Mohenjo-Daro, one of the earliest cities of the Indus Valley civilization, had a well-thought-out sewer system dating back to around 2,000 years BC. In this city, underground canals lined with bricks drained wastewater, and there were toilets with seats that flushed waste into the sewers. These toilets were connected to a system of pipes, demonstrating the high level of engineering thought of the time. The Minoans on Crete were also not behind in their engineering achievements. Their water supply systems, made from terracotta pipes, provided water for residents and agriculture. These systems even used siphons to prevent contamination, indicating an understanding of hygiene standards. The public baths of Rome, which became centers of social interaction, had complex heating and drainage systems, and the echo of water in their vaulted rooms created an atmosphere of comfort and relaxation. The contrast between the clean flowing water in the aqueducts and canals and the dusty streets of ancient cities underscored the importance of water supply in people's lives. Water in these systems not only ensured hygiene, but also served as a symbol of civilization, highlighting the significance of engineering art in the development of society. The Roman Emperor Vespasian in the 1st century AD said, "Money doesn't smell," but it was the water systems created for the convenience of citizens that became the basis for Rome's prosperity. By the end of the 1st century AD, Rome had around 200 baths, which confirms the importance of public water supply for the life of the citizens. In the mountains of China, among isolated caves, mysterious granite discs with a diameter of about 30 centimeters, known as the droplet stone discs, were discovered. Each disc has a hole in the center and is adorned with spiral grooves that resemble micro-engravings. These artifacts have become a true mystery and have attracted the attention of archaeologists and historians since their discovery in 1938 by archaeologist Chi Te. During excavations in the mountain caves of Sichuan province, Chi Te encountered these unusual objects, which he believed could indicate contact with extraterrestrial civilizations. He suggested that the spiral patterns might be part of an ancient record detailing the crash of a spacecraft. However, many scientists consider this story to be a hoax, pointing to the lack of convincing evidence and questionable research methods. Debates about the droplet discs continue to this day, and over the decades, various researchers have attempted to decipher the alleged inscriptions, with only a few achieving success. Each disc is covered with unique patterns, and their design raises numerous questions about their origin and purpose. Some believe they were used as ritual objects or tools for measuring time or astronomical phenomena. However, the lack of clear answers only fuels interest and generates myths. The isolation of the mountain caves where the discs were found creates an atmosphere of mystery, enhancing the feeling of encountering something potentially extraterrestrial. It is unknown how long these artifacts remained hidden from human eyes, but their discovery has become a significant event in the world of archaeology. The droplet discs attract not only scientists, but also adventurers who dream of unraveling their mysteries. Over the past decades, numerous studies have been conducted, but none have provided definitive answers about the origin and significance of these remarkable objects. The spiral patterns, which resemble enigmatic messages, remain an unsolved puzzle. Some researchers even suggest that they may be connected to ancient knowledge of the cosmos that has been lost over centuries. The question of whether the discs are evidence of ancient civilizations or the product of archaeologists' imagination remains open. The multitude of hypotheses about their purpose only adds intrigue to this mysterious story. The scientific community is divided. Some consider the discs to be fakes, while others believe they are real artifacts that could shed light on ancient secrets. Specialists have used various methods, including radiocarbon dating, to determine the age of the discs. But the results have been inconclusive. The artifacts attract not only scientists, but also enthusiasts of paranormal phenomena, who build their theories about possible contacts with extraterrestrial civilizations. These granite discs, hidden in the isolation of mountain caves, continue to hold many secrets that still await discovery. It is hard to imagine, but the ancient Egyptians processed the hardest types of stone with such precision that modern technologies often cannot achieve similar results. Granite, which ranks 7th on the Mohs scale, diorite, reaching 8th, and basalt, positioned at 6th, became the primary materials for construction and sculpture. For instance, in the Temple of Karnak, one can see perfectly smooth surfaces and sharp right angles that have remained unchanged for millennia. Complex cylindrical drillings, executed with minimal deviation, puzzle modern researchers. The diameter of the holes often measures less than 1 centimeter, indicating a high level of craftsmanship and technology. There are numerous theories about the methods of stone processing, ranging from the use of abrasive sand and copper saws to more exotic suggestions about sound technologies that could resonate with the stone and facilitate its processing. For example, some scientists propose that the Egyptians could have used sound to create vibrations capable of destroying the stone structure. When struck, granite produces a clear, resonant sound that seems to speak of its strength and durability. Polished to a mirror-like finish, granite shines in the sun, and the smoothness of its surface is maintained thanks to the artistry of the ancient craftsmen. These stone processing techniques, lost over time, remain a subject of intense research and discussion among archaeologists and historians. Unlike many modern methods, ancient Egyptian techniques ensured the longevity and strength of structures, as evidenced by numerous monuments that have survived to this day. The pyramids of Giza, for example, are built from granite blocks weighing several tons, and their precise joining, without the use of modern technologies, continues to inspire awe and bewilderment. These stone giants are more than 4,000 years old and still stand as symbols not only of ancient Egyptian architecture, but also of human ingenuity. Each of these structures is a testament to the fact that the technologies used by the ancient craftsmen were significantly more advanced than is generally believed. Ancient civilizations from different corners of the world, seemingly unconnected, exhibit remarkable similarities in their architecture and mythology. The Egyptian pyramids, built around 2,500 years before our era, are astonishingly similar to the Mayan pyramids constructed in Central America between 4,000 and 1,000 years before our era, and to the Chinese pyramid tombs, such as the tomb of the first emperor Qin Shi Huangdi. Built in the 3rd century before our era, these structures not only resemble each other in form, but also served as centers of cultic veneration, indicating that different cultures could share similar cosmological beliefs expressed in architecture. For instance, the theme of the flood appears in the myths of many peoples. The Babylonian epic of Gilgamesh, the biblical Noah, and the flood myths of the Pueblo Indians share common features, suggesting some common roots or mutual influences. This enigma has led to theories such as diffusionism, which posits that ideas and technologies spread between cultures through trade, migration, or other contacts. Some researchers, like anthropologist K.C. Chian, have proposed the existence of an ancient mother civilization from which all these cultural achievements originated, although specific evidence has not yet been found. Building technologies, such as the use of arches and vaults, appear simultaneously in different places, for example, in ancient Rome and Mesopotamia, raising questions about possible knowledge exchange routes. Solar symbols, such as circles and crosses, are found in the art of the Aztecs, Incas, and even in ancient Greek cultures, indicating a deep understanding of astronomy and the importance of the sun as a source of life for all these peoples. Notably, in various parts of the world, from Egypt to Mesoamerica, solar observatories were built, such as the observatory at Chichen Itza, dating back to the 7th century of our era, which was used for observing astronomical phenomena. These intersections in cultural symbols and technological achievements raise many questions about how civilizations scattered across the planet could develop such similar ideas and practices despite vast distances and time periods. Such parallels do not leave historians and archaeologists indifferent, encouraging them to continue their research and search for answers to these ancient mysteries. The discovery of pyramids in Mexico, 2,000 kilometers from the Nile, with almost identical construction and function to those of the Egyptians, only strengthens interest in this topic. Deep beneath the earth in Cappadocia lie extraordinary subterranean cities that are astonishing in their scale and complexity. Some of them have up to 20 levels and can accommodate thousands of people. These massive structures, carved from soft volcanic tuff, are true engineering marvels. They feature ventilation shafts that provide fresh air and wells that served as water sources for the inhabitants. Inside the subterranean chambers, there are security systems, including massive stone doors that could be closed for protection against enemies. Scholars propose several theories about the purpose of these underground cities. Some believe they served as shelters from persecution when enemies occupied the upper lands. Others suggest that these spaces were used for wine storage and production, given the importance of viticulture in local culture. It is also considered possible that the underground cities served as religious centers where local residents performed rituals and ceremonies away from enemy eyes. Descending into these repositories, one feels the cool air on their face, and the muffled sound of footsteps in the tunnels creates an atmosphere of seclusion and protection from the outside world. The flickering light of torches reflecting off the volcanic tough walls adds an air of mystery to this place. The subterranean cities of Cappadocia remain a mystery to researchers who have not yet reached a consensus on how and when they were built. For example, it is believed that the first settlements existed in the 12th century BC, but mass construction began during the Christian era when people sought safe havens from Arab invasions. Today, archaeologists have discovered more than 30 subterranean cities, such as Derinkuyu and Kaymakli, which attract tourists from around the world and continue to captivate scholars. On the slopes of the Atacama Desert, one of the driest places on Earth, stands a colossal geoglyph known as the Giant of Atacama. This anthropomorphic drawing reaches a height of approximately 190 meters and depicts a figure with elongated limbs and an enormous head. The creation of this geoglyph is believed to date back to the period between the 8th and 15th centuries AD, when cultures such as the Nazca and Tiwanaku inhabited the region. To create it, ancient people employed relatively simple but effective methods. They cleared the surface of the earth by removing the top layer of stones and sand to expose a lighter soil, creating a contrast between the dark lines of the figure and the light background of the desert. This effect is only visible from a great height, raising questions about its purpose. Several theories exist regarding the Giant of Atacama's function. Some researchers suggest it served as an astronomical marker, aiding ancient people in navigating by stars and determining the seasons. Others propose that it was connected to deities symbolizing fertility or served as a pointer to water sources in this barren region. Standing beside this enormous image, one feels the scorching desert air and realizes that this ancient message was left for observers from above. Surrounding silence is broken only by a light breeze, creating an illusion of time frozen in the silence of millennia. The Giant of Atacama is more than just a geoglyph. It is a part of history that continues to captivate scholars and travelers seeking to unravel its mysteries. Each year, tourists flock to see this wonder and attempt to understand what motivated its creation. For such enigmas as the Giant of Atacama remain etched in human memory as testaments to ancient civilizations. Imagine a flourishing Minoan civilization, renowned for its advanced level of development, suddenly disappearing, leaving only shadows of its former glory. The Minoans, who lived on the island of Crete around 3,000 years ago, built palace complexes such as the famous palace in Knossos, which featured intricate water supply and sewage systems. These structures were not only technological marvels of their time, but also reflected the complexity of the Minoan social structure, their cultural and artistic achievements, including frescoes depicting vivid scenes from their daily life and mythology. They actively traded with other Mediterranean civilizations, contributing to their wealth and power. However, around 1600 BCE, something catastrophic occurred. On the island of Santorini, just 100 kilometers from Crete, a catastrophic volcanic eruption took place, one of the most powerful in history. This eruption triggered a devastating tsunami, whose waves crashed onto the shores of Crete, destroying ports and ending the maritime trade that sustained the Minoan economy. Ash spewed by the volcano obscured the sun, leading to severe climate changes that negatively impacted agriculture and resources on the island. Alongside these natural disasters, some researchers propose theories about internal decline. Social conflicts, power struggles, and possible invasions by the Mycenaeans may have also played a role in the fall of the Minoan civilization. As a result, once prosperous cities were filled with panic, as their inhabitants, unaware of what was happening, sought refuge. Historians note that by the time the ash settled and the waves receded, Crete was no longer the same place. There is evidence that many Minoans abandoned their cities and sought refuge in the mountainous regions, where nature allowed them to survive. Archaeological findings show that for several centuries after the catastrophe, the Minoan culture did not recover, and new peoples took its place. The destruction of the Minoan civilization marked the beginning of a new era in the history of the Aegean Sea, as new powers and cultures emerged, leaving behind the fading glory of those who once ruled this region. In the highlands of Bolivia stands a mysterious monument known as the Gateway of the Sun, located in the ancient city of Tiwanaku. This portal, carved from a single block of andesite stone, reaches 3 meters in height and 4 meters in width. The massive block weighs around 10 tons, making it not only an architectural but also a technical achievement of its time. The central relief depicts a god with rays, which, according to researchers, symbolizes the solar deity playing a key role in the religion and astronomy of the ancient Aymara people. The Gateway of the Sun is oriented in such a way that on the days of the equinoxes and solstices, sunlight passes through the portal, creating a striking spectacle that could have served as a marker for important astronomical events. Some scientists suggest that this portal was part of a larger system connected to a solar calendar, highlighting the deep understanding of astronomy characteristic of the Tiwanaku culture. The symbols surrounding the gate, carved with extraordinary precision, remain a subject of debate among researchers. They represent some kind of mysterious code, possibly reflecting the philosophical and religious ideas of the ancient Aymara people. In this sacred space, amidst the thin air of the highlands, the play of light and shadow on the ancient carved surfaces creates a sense of sacrality. Every aspect of this place, from its construction to its orientation, speaks of the outstanding skill and spiritual depth of its creators. The Gateway of the Sun in Tiwanaku remains one of the most significant archaeological discoveries in South America, embodying not only technical achievements, but also a rich cultural history that continues to intrigue researchers. Numerous theories about the purpose and significance of the gates are still being discussed, but it is important to note that they have become a symbol of the connection between heaven and earth, reflecting the ancient people's desire to understand their place in the vast cosmos. Ancient surgeons possessed remarkable skills that enabled them to perform complex medical procedures, such as trepanation, dating back to the Neolithic period. This procedure involved drilling holes in the skull to treat various ailments, including headaches and mental disorders. Research indicates that, using primitive tools like stone and bronze drills, ancient physicians achieved surprisingly high survival rates. Findings on skulls dating back to the 3rd millennium BCE show signs of healing, indicating that patients not only survived, but also regained their strength. In Pompeii, archaeologists discovered surgical instruments used for amputations and suturing, demonstrating a high level of medical practice development. Egyptian medical papyri, such as the Ebers papyrus, contain recipes based on herbs used as anesthetics and anti-inflammatory agents, including extracts of opium and myrrh. Ayurvedic practices in India, originating around 3,000 years ago, include detailed descriptions of surgical operations, such as cataract removal and bladder stone extraction. The scent of fresh herbs mixed with the aroma of oils created an atmosphere of hope for patients who, despite the impending pain, believed in healing. The sound of primitive tools striking bone both frightened and instilled confidence in them, knowing that relief lay beyond the pain. Numerous finds, such as surgical instruments and medical texts, prove that ancient civilizations not only recognized the need for medical intervention, but also developed their skills with remarkable precision and understanding. For instance, in ancient Egypt, physicians used specialized tools made of copper and bronze, allowing them to perform complex operations with relative accuracy. In the tropical forests of Costa Rica, mysterious stone spheres are hidden, drawing the attention of researchers and tourists alike, much like a magnet. These perfectly round shapes, crafted with such precision that it is hard to imagine how ancient people could achieve such skill, vary in diameter from several centimeters to 2.5 meters and can weigh up to 16 tons. Most of them are made of granodiorite, a strong stone that appears to have been quarried locally. The shapes of these spheres are such that they could have been used as astronomical markers, symbols of status, or even navigational aids. Some researchers suggest that they may have indicated important astronomical events, such as equinoxes or solstices, while others believe they marked territorial boundaries or the status of local chiefs. Remarkably, these stone spheres are arranged in specific geometric patterns, indicating a complex system of planning and understanding of space. The humid air of the tropical forest, filled with the sounds of nature, creates a contrast between the man-made perfect spheres and the chaotic vegetation of the jungle. Here, amidst the foliage and the calls of exotic birds, one feels the touch of an ancient enigma waiting to be solved. Discovered in the middle of the 20th century, these spheres continue to be a subject of study for archaeologists and historians who strive to unravel their mysteries. They were first mentioned in the journal Costa Rican Archaeology in the 1960s, sparking intense debates about their origin and significance. Local residents, who have lived alongside these stones for centuries, have passed down legends about how their ancestors used these spheres in their rituals, creating an atmosphere of mysticism and sacredness around these objects. Each new step taken by researchers in this area reveals new details about the society that left behind such artifacts. These spheres have been found not only in Costa Rica, but also in other parts of Central America, suggesting possible cultural connections between different civilizations in the region. There are even theories that they may have been created not only by local peoples, but also by extraterrestrials, which of course has sparked controversy among the scientific community. Considering all this, it can be confidently said that the stone spheres of Costa Rica are not just artifacts, but true keys to understanding ancient cultures and their views of the world. They continue to captivate researchers eager to unravel their mysteries, posing complex questions about their origin and purpose. Currently, efforts are underway to protect and preserve them so that future generations can enjoy their grandeur and uniqueness. Off the coast of the Bahamas lies a mysterious structure known as the Bimini Road, consisting of perfectly aligned rectangular blocks. These stone slabs, partially submerged underwater, create the impression of a paved road or ancient wall, which, according to some researchers, may be remnants of a lost civilization, possibly Atlantis. The first mention of the Bimini Road occurred in 1951 when a team of underwater archaeologists, led by Dr. Melville M. Corral, began investigating this area. The structure is located at a depth of around 18 meters and stretches for several hundred meters along the shore. It attracts not only archaeologists, but also adventurers eager to unravel its mysteries. Seaweed sways between the stones, giving the impression that ancient walls guard something important, hidden from human eyes. Sunlight penetrates the water, creating a play of light and shadow that only enhances the atmosphere of mystery. Theories about the origin of this structure range from a supposed ancient harbor to a natural geological formation. Some researchers claim it is the result of underwater volcanic processes, making this question even more complex. Notably, Edgar Cayce, a famous American medium, predicted the discovery of the remains of Atlantis in this region, adding another layer of intrigue to the already captivating story of the Bimini Road. His prophecies, made in the early 1940s, about their greatness and significance, ignite the imagination and stimulate research. In 1981, a group of underwater archaeologists, including Dr. Norman S. Hanna, conducted research that confirmed the presence of unusual structures, but definitive conclusions about their origin have not yet been made. Bimini continues to be the center of disputes and research, attracting the attention of scientists, adventurers, and enthusiasts of mysteries. The uncertainty surrounding this underwater enigma makes one ponder what else lies hidden beneath the water's surface, waiting to be discovered and studied. This enigmatic structure, surrounded by myths and hypotheses, will continue to inspire people in their search for answers. In the heart of Crete lies the Knossos Palace, an architectural marvel that continues to inspire awe and debate. Its multi-level structure, comprising more than 500 rooms connected by intricate corridors, creates a labyrinth that, according to many researchers, inspired the myth of the Minotaur. The palace walls are adorned with vibrant frescoes depicting scenes from the lives of the Minoans. celebrations, athletic competitions, and bull images, which serve as evidence of the bull cult's significant role in Minoan culture. Archaeological excavations begun in the early 20th century, including the work of British archaeologist Arthur Evans, have revealed numerous fascinating details, such as the throne room with its high columns and complex frescoes, which likely served as a site for rituals and meetings. Notably, a throne carved from limestone, possibly used for ceremonies related to divine worship, has been preserved in this hall. Storage rooms discovered within the palace showcase how the Minoans managed their resources. They stored grain, oil, and wine, indicating a high level of organization and economic management. A significant achievement of Minoan architecture was their water supply and drainage systems, which ensured comfort and maintained hygiene. Light shafts built into the ceilings create a play of light, filling the halls with soft sunlight, while the scent of the sea, wafting through open courtyards, adds to the atmosphere of this historic site. The sounds of palace life, such as laughter and conversation, echo through the corridors, giving the impression that time has stood still. Studying the Knossos Palace reveals that the Minoan civilization possessed a high level of artistic and engineering skill, evident not only in its architectural features but also in its accounting system, recorded in Linear A script, used for managing resources. This script, consisting of linear signs, remains partially deciphered, adding an air of mystery to the cultures that inhabited this island. The Knossos Palace, with its complex structure and numerous secrets, remains one of the most intriguing objects of archaeological research, continuing to attract the attention of scholars and tourists from around the world. Throughout human history, there exists mysterious evidence that could suggest possible contact with extraterrestrial civilizations. The most striking examples are petroglyphs found in various corners of the world, where ancient artists depicted beings resembling modern astronauts. For instance, in the Peruvian desert of Nazca, one can find enormous geoglyphs, some of which depict figures with distinctly non-human forms, raising questions about who could have created such complex images. Vedic texts from India mention vimanas, flying machines used by gods. These descriptions contain such detailed characteristics that some researchers claim they can be interpreted as evidence of ancient technologies that were not available to humans at the time. Mayan culture also features images that resemble astronauts in spacesuits and scenes of interaction with other beings. On medieval frescoes in Europe, there are depictions that resemble flying saucers. Such discoveries make us ponder how people of that time perceived such phenomena. Proponents of the paleo-contact theory point to the sudden emergence of complex civilizations, like the Sumerians and Egyptians, which in their view could not have developed without external assistance. Arguments of those who support this theory are based on the assumption that ancient societies could not have independently created such technologies as architectural marvels, such as pyramids or ziggurats, without the intervention of more advanced beings. However, the scientific community critically views this idea, pointing to the lack of convincing evidence and attributing many of these evidences to human ingenuity and creativity. Nevertheless, the notion of encountering beings with advanced technologies evokes a sense of awe and fear of the unknown. Ancient people might have perceived such events as divine intervention, which added special significance to their mythologies and religious beliefs. For example, in Mesopotamia, gods were often described as descending from the heavens in flying machines, which can be interpreted as an attempt to explain unusual phenomena using the concepts available at the time. These cultural artifacts continue to spark immense interest and debate among researchers, raising questions about how we perceive our own history and our place in the world. Each new artifact and discovery adds another detail to this complex picture, making us question how much we truly know about our past. In this context, it is worth mentioning that in the 12th century in China, a monk named Zheng He described in his records encounters with heavenly people, which also suggests similar phenomena in other cultures. This aspect of ancient beliefs and cultural representations of heavenly beings remains open to discussion and further research, as each new day brings us more mysteries to unravel. In the ancient temple of Hathor in Dendera, strange bas-reliefs can be seen on the walls that provoke many questions and debates among researchers. These images depict elongated objects that resemble modern electric lamps in shape and construction. They have a body similar to an incandescent lamp, and inside one can discern something interpreted as a filament. These lamps also have elements that look like wires connected to a source, which evokes in the imagination of viewers images of an ancient electrical system. This concept has become the basis for numerous theories, ranging from the assumption that ancient Egyptians could use electricity to more conservative interpretations that consider these objects as symbolic images of the lotus and the rising sun, symbolizing life and rebirth. Moreover, gilded artifacts were found in this temple, which testify to the high level of metalworking technologies that existed in ancient Egypt. These artifacts, as well as the preserved colors on the walls that with remarkable accuracy convey details, may indicate the possession by Egyptians of certain chemical knowledge that we cannot yet fully explain. The mixture of colors used for the temple's painting includes minerals that give them brightness and durability, which amazes the modern scientific community. When you are in this temple, a soft, muted light gently falls on the mysterious bas-reliefs, creating an atmosphere of deep antiquity and mystery. Each detail seems imbued with history, and one feels as if touching something truly majestic and unknown. Every step in this sacred place allows you to immerse yourself in a world where myths and reality intersect, making it not just an architectural monument, but a true laboratory for contemplation about what we know about the past and what is yet to be discovered. There are many signs that ancient civilizations could possess knowledge that we still cannot fully comprehend. For example, in Hathor, images of various animals have been preserved that could be related to astronomical observations, hinting at their deep understanding of celestial phenomena. In this atmosphere, among the enigmatic bas-reliefs and mysterious artifacts, one realizes that every detail of the temple may hide secrets waiting to be uncovered. In Colombia, within the Quimbaya culture, archaeologists have discovered small golden figurines that remarkably resemble modern airplanes. These artifacts, known as golden airplanes, feature triangular wings, a vertical stabilizer, and a form similar to the fuselage. Their sizes range from 10 to 20 centimeters in length, and they are made of pure gold, which gives them an extraordinary shine under museum lights. The lines of these figurines are elegant and refined, highlighting the skill of ancient jewelers who, despite limited technology, created objects with aerodynamic properties. When researchers created scale models based on these figurines, they found that they could be aerodynamically stable, which has sparked surprise and raised questions about the possible aeronautical knowledge of ancient peoples. Some scientists interpret these artifacts as evidence of ancient flying machines, although such theories are controversial. Other researchers believe that the golden airplanes may be stylized depictions of birds or insects, as evidenced by their characteristic shapes and details. For instance, the triangular wings could resemble the wings of various birds, while the vertical stabilizer could resemble the tail of insects. This duality of interpretations only emphasizes the mystery of these objects and attracts the attention of both scientists and history enthusiasts. In museum showcases, they appear as artifacts from the future, contrasting with the primitive technologies used in their creation, creating a unique atmosphere around these ancient works of art. 80 years ago, in the 1940s, these figurines became a sensation when they were first presented to the public. Since then, they have continued to amaze and captivate, prompting thoughts about the secrets that ancient civilizations may still hold. Currently, more than 100 such golden objects have been found in various archaeological excavations across Colombia, indicating the widespread nature of this tradition. Around 40,000 years ago in Europe, the Cro-Magnons suddenly appeared on the stage of history, the ancestors of modern humans who amazed us with their culture and abilities. These primitive people left behind not just traces of their existence, but true masterpieces of art. In caves like Lascaux in France and Altamira in Spain, rock paintings have been preserved that are astonishing in their realism and skill. They depict not only animals, mammoths and bison, but also hunting scenes that create a sense of real action. Inside these caves, the flickering light of primitive lamps made of fat and stone reflects off the damp walls, highlighting the bright red and black colors used by the artists. These colors were obtained from natural pigments mixed with fats, indicating a high level of their knowledge about materials. Cro-Magnons also invented needles with eyes, which allowed them to sew clothing from skins, demonstrating a high level of their socio-cultural development. Harpoons and atlatls, complex devices for throwing spears, show that Cro-Magnons actively engaged in hunting and possessed advanced skills in tool-making. But where did all these skills come from? Scientists cannot find predecessors of the Cro-Magnons who could explain the sudden leap in their cultural evolution. This raises questions about how such complex techniques and artistic abilities could have emerged without visible roots. Each of these discoveries inspires awe and makes us ponder how deeply connected we are to these ancient artists through the millennia. Scientific research shows that Cro-Magnons used tools that were significantly more diverse and complex than those of their predecessors, such as Neanderthals. For example, in the cave of Chauvet in France, more than 300 images dating back approximately 32,000 years have been found, indicating the development of an artistic language. These drawings were created in conditions of limited lighting, making their art even more impressive. Cro-Magnons were not only hunters, but also musicians, using bone flutes found in places like the caves of Grave and Gureos in Spain, which confirms the presence of a developed musical culture. Each new artifact becomes a key to understanding how they lived, felt, and perceived the world around them. The question of how Cro-Magnons reached such heights in art and technology remains open and requires further research. Long before astronomy became a science, ancient peoples built observatories capable of tracking celestial phenomena with remarkable precision. One of the earliest such observatories is the Göbekli Circle, dating back approximately 4,900 years before our era, located in Germany. This Neolithic structure consists of concentric circles dug into the ground, surrounded by wooden posts and palisades that served not only as protection, but also as orientation points for observations. Since the passages between the ditches were precisely aligned with the cardinal directions, ancient observers could use this complex to track the sunrise and sunset on key days of the year, such as the winter and summer solstices. In the pre-dawn silence, when the world was just beginning to awaken, ancient people gathered at the Göbekli Circle, waiting for the appearance of the solar disk. Gradually, with the first rays of light, the sun rose slowly through the opening between the earthen banks, creating a breathtaking spectacle that connected people with cosmic cycles. Similarly, Stonehenge in England functioned in a similar manner, with its massive stones positioned to mark important astronomical events. This megalithic monument, built around the 3rd millennium before our era, also served as a gathering place for rituals and ceremonies related to the worship of the sun and moon. No less impressive is the Newgrange Observatory in Ireland, created around 3,000 years before our era. This structure is a mound with a long corridor leading to a central chamber, perfectly aligned so that on the day of the winter solstice, sunlight enters and illuminates the sacred space. The Maya, who lived in Central America, built their observatories, such as Castillo in Chichen Itza, where architecture was used for precise astronomical observations, allowing them to predict solar and lunar cycles with high accuracy. These structures not only demonstrate the engineering prowess of ancient cultures, but also highlight the deep connection between humans and natural cycles. Each of these examples serves as a reminder of how human civilization developed in harmony with the heavens and how ancient peoples used their knowledge to understand the world around them. In this context, the importance of such observatories goes beyond simple observation. They became centers of cultural life, places where people gathered to exchange knowledge and perform rituals, linking their lives to the great cosmos that surrounded them. Queen Nefertiti, one of the most enigmatic figures of ancient Egypt, left behind numerous questions that remain unanswered to this day. Known for her extraordinary beauty and influence, she became not just the wife of Pharaoh Akhenaten, but also a key figure in his religious revolution, when Egyptians began to worship the single god Aten. Images of Nefertiti, found on steles and reliefs, depict her with idealized facial features, high cheekbones, and refined features that became a symbol of feminine beauty in ancient Egypt. These artifacts underscore her significance in a society where women rarely held such high positions. However, beginning with the 12th year of Akhenaten's reign, mentions of Nefertiti disappear, creating an atmosphere of mystery around her fate. Several theories exist about her disappearance. Some researchers suggest she may have died from an epidemic, while others propose she was exiled or changed her name. Some historians believe Nefertiti could have ruled as a co-regent pharaoh and even alone under the name Smenkhkare. These speculations fuel interest in her personality and the era in which she lived. In the search for her tomb, archaeologists have focused on a mysterious mummy known as the Younger Lady, found in the burial chamber KV35 in the Valley of the Kings. However, it has not been definitively established whether this is Nefertiti. This mummy differs from others by its unique skull structure and markings that led researchers to believe it could be close to Nefertiti in time and status. Studies conducted in 2016 using modern technology showed that the Younger Lady could have been around 19 years old when she died, adding to the mystery of her possible connection to Nefertiti. All these facts create a complex puzzle in which one of the most influential women of her time remains elusive, like a shadow gliding across the sands of history. Researchers continue to seek evidence that could shed light on this enigmatic figure, but the mystery of Nefertiti remains unsolved. Ancient Egyptians envisioned the afterlife as a complex process, filled with dangers and trials that the soul had to endure after death. The most important text that aided in this journey was the Book of the Dead, a collection of spells and instructions designed to support the deceased in the afterlife. This compilation of rules and guidelines varied over time and region, and included magical formulas to help avoid traps in the Duat, the underworld, and reach the fields of Yalu, the Egyptian paradise, where the soul could enjoy eternal life. One of the most significant moments in this process was the weighing of the heart before Osiris, the god of the underworld. The heart, symbolizing the moral qualities and virtues of the deceased, was placed on scales and compared to the feather of Ma'at, the goddess of truth and justice. If the heart was lighter than the feather, the soul could enter the afterlife. If not, it was destined to be eaten by the demon Amit. Funeral rituals, conducted with great solemnity, included mummification, a process that ensured the preservation of the body for eternal life. This was a complex and lengthy process, often taking up to 70 days. The body was treated with natron and embalmed with special oils to prevent decomposition. Various objects were placed in the tombs to be used in the afterlife: food, drinks, jewelry, and sometimes even statuettes called ushabti, which were meant to perform tasks for the deceased. Tombs were decorated with scenes of everyday life to allow the deceased to continue enjoying earthly pleasures. The flickering of torches in the burial chambers created an atmosphere of sacred seclusion. Emphasizing the importance of these rituals, the ancient Egyptians' belief in the real continuation of life after death was so strong that they were willing to invest enormous resources in their burials, considering it necessary for the soul's peace in the afterlife. Over the centuries, this culture left a legacy that continues to inspire interest and admiration. The Book of the Dead was not just a collection of spells, but a reflection of deep faith and a complex system of beliefs that defined life and death in ancient Egypt. Secret societies and esoteric knowledge in ancient times were an integral part of the cultural and spiritual landscape, drawing the attention of seekers of truth and those who aspired to a deep understanding of the world. The mysteries of Eleusis, which existed from around 2,000 years before our era, became known for their complex rituals that included initiation and symbolic gestures, transmitted only to the initiated. These rituals promised participants not only mythological rebirth, but also access to secret knowledge about life and death. During initiation, newcomers underwent various trials that symbolized death and resurrection, allowing them to become part of a sacred tradition passed down through generations. The Pythagorean Union, founded in the 6th century BCE by Pythagoras, included teachings on numbers and the cosmos, where mathematics was considered the key to understanding universal laws. Members of the society adhered to strict oaths of silence, creating an aura of secrecy and exclusivity. They gathered in dark rooms lit only by torchlight, sharing secret knowledge about geometry, music, and harmony. The cult of Mithras, which emerged in the 1st century CE, also had its mysteries. including a ritual of dedication that symbolized unity with the divine. Participants in these rituals believed that through the spirit of Mithras, they could gain knowledge that endowed them with power and wisdom. The various levels of initiation in these societies created a multi-layered structure where each step opened new horizons of understanding, from practical skills such as astronomy and medicine to deep philosophical reflections on the nature of being. This practice was rich in symbolism, where every gesture and word held special significance, and passwords and signs were passed from mouth to mouth, creating a sense of belonging to something greater than just teaching. This thread of tradition connects ancient civilizations with the present, reminding us that secret knowledge has always sought those who are ready to understand and embrace it. In these communities, not only practical knowledge, but also mystical ideas were preserved, influencing philosophical currents throughout history. Thus, the secret societies of antiquity left a deep imprint on the cultural memory of humanity, opening doors to knowledge that was inaccessible to the majority. For example, in Eleusis, participants could receive initiation after several years of preparation, emphasizing the importance of patience and devotion in the search for true understanding.